joining us for this edition of Storm Watch. A reminder that we always have Storm Watch 10 minutes before the top of every hour. And this time of the year, not only do we check on some of the strong thunderstorms going on, for instance, into parts of the west at this hour and also heading into a portion of Alabama, but we also like to check on the tropics. So we'll start you out first with our tropical update and the very latest on what is happening first in the tropical Atlantic. A couple of different areas to watch for here, and you see a couple different swirls out there into the Atlantic at this point in time, but we are not finding really any development with this particular cluster. We go further westward, and this is our tropical storm. We've been talking about Tropical Storm Alex, and we have the latest coordinates now as of 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 16.1 north, 52.1 west. That's where it's centered, about 575 miles to the east of the Leeward Islands. Sustained winds continue at 40 miles per hour. It's moving west at 13, and the estimated central pressure at 1,005 millibars. So still quite some distance from the Caribbean islands here. As we take a look at the satellite picture, lots of different things to note with this. First and foremost, that we've seen one area of convection kind of decreasing, another area increasing. Sometimes we get the diurnal effect, and we get some of those thunderstorms increasing during the overnight as some of the higher cloud tops begin to cool. So we'll kind of watch that trend and see if it continues on to the daytime. But we do know that this has been undergoing quite a bit of shear, and you can see evidence of that as a lot of the cloud tops getting blown off to the north and east. And we think we've had some winds, maybe 30, 40 mile per hour winds working over this area. So it really has not had a chance to really get its act together. Now, there are three different scenarios that we could kind of see happening, and some maybe more than others. First of all, this could suddenly maybe weaken altogether and maybe just end up being an area of some showers that works its way on into the Caribbean. That's a possibility, and that might be the more likely of all the other scenarios. Secondly, if our shear were to suddenly decrease, this could have a chance to strengthen, but we think if that happened, it would move to the north and west and most likely miss much of the Caribbean islands. And thirdly, it could kind of hold its own, endure the shear, and work its way on westward and maybe produce some heavy rain for some areas. So it still remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen with this, and the intensity might be related to what path it eventually takes. That might make a difference in what direction it goes. But at this point, it really is undergoing quite a bit of shear. Does not look too terribly impressive, and we invite you to tune back in not only during the overnight but also extending on into early morning Saturday, and we'll take another good look at this and see what the very latest is with our tropical storm. So please keep tuned. We'll have more on Tropical Storm Alex. Can't write it off just yet. We have a rather impressive area of circulation out here into the eastern Atlantic, mainly just looking at some stratocumulus clouds. Not a lot of convection or thunderstorms associated with this. So until we see a lot of convection, and certainly a lot of convection trying to wrap around the center of circulation, we won't get too terribly concerned. But what I'm saying is this is also an area that needs to be watched. Surface pressures are still relatively high, but this is a favorable area for development, so we'll keep an eye on that. We take you back toward the Caribbean. There's the upper level trough that's been shearing Alex. This is a more favorable area of development. If Alex were somehow able to survive this trough and the shear that it's providing and work its way into this region, it might have a chance for developing, but that wouldn't happen for at least 2 to 3 days. And again, there are a lot of ifs involved if that would even happen. We go into the southern Caribbean and on up into the Gulf of Mexico, and there's just really not a whole lot happening here. A lot of convection, a lot of thunderstorms, but nothing that's very organized at this time. Remember, as we head through the month of August, it wouldn't be out of the question to see a rapid rise in activity in the Atlantic. We usually reach our peak climatologically into early September. As we head into the Pacific, this is Hurricane Estelle. There you can see the latest coordinates. This is continuing to move to the west, away from any landmass. Could produce some higher surf, though, as we look at coastal areas of Mexico and also eventually the south-facing beaches of California. So we'll be watching out for that. And Tropical Depression Darby, this is the final